Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Question one. When we say that only humans have the intellect and the rest of the creatures do not have the same, how does the evolution happen for an animal to human, or is it that they remain in the same species? Arjun is the question.
For you, I can start with this one.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I've heard somewhere along the lines like even animals actually do have an intellect, although it's not that prominent. And so if they were to have an intellect, because like they can distinguish their owner, they can sense danger. So we can see there is an element of, well, it could be that nature is that way, but I believe that there is some component of intellect as well. Um, it's strange these questions come up because there's been some thought into like now that we are humans, would our next life be also human? And but then it also depends on our vasanas, right? If we did have a particular vasana that is unmanifested and it is best to manifest in the form of an animal, then we could go. So my answer would be it just depends on their vasanas because we've had so many birds. Thank you.
Yes, Nimesh.
I was just looking at some clarification when you say how does evolution. So I didn't want to just I think Sharon, I want to add maybe what you said. First, Arjun, can you answer what do you mean by evolution happen for an animal to human? That part only, if you can just throw some more light when you ask that question.
Uh, Usually, why I asked this question is, uh, animals have a very little intellect, or it is somewhere close to no intellect. So, rather than human having this quality, is there any help for an animal that they can transform to or evolve to the next stage? Was my question.
Yeah, so got it. While I understood, I thought let me just clarify. I think as rightly put by Sharon, they have gross. I think some you always put plant, animal, and human. They have gross, but as the way they have born. So carnivores cannot become a herbivore, or a herbivore cannot become a carnivore because they once they take a birth, they have that cycle or they have that life which will evolve. Nobody will be a carnivorous will think that is it good to eat another animal there. I don't think because that's a very gross kind of intellect. Uh, or negligible kind of intellect which they have just to basically understand, live the life they have an intellect. Otherwise, there is nothing. Probably they have a mind, but not really any sort of intellect with them. I think only, and what Sharon said, I don't repeat the same, but instead of vasanas, maybe I'll add more karmas. Along with vasanas, what actions is very defined as to how we will take the next set of birth Yeah, vasanas will be your birth, and then how you'll act all through the year will define in terms of the next birth which you'll get. Nothing much to add here.
Yeah. Mahesh, you had something?
Yes, Swami. Hari Om, Swami. What my point is, what here Mr. Arjun here trying to say is, we have read in our Puranas and stories that once we die, we might reincarnate as any animal form. Is it right, Arjun? Is that your point, or what? I'd like to clarify.
No, Nimesh, it was not my. This was not my question.
Okay.
It was the other way. Like, how does the evolution of earlier we were monkeys. So from monkey, from ape to monkey to like in that
Oh,
sense, I have asked.
okay. So that is the Darwinian evolution theory which you are coming to say. Um, it's just the Darwin scientific theory which you are coming to say. Um, from what I can say is, um, it might not be true at how Darwin looks at it. It may not have been that species evolved like that. Rather than what intellect I can think, um, rather than evolution, the world might have been created as a play simultaneously. I don't see it as a evolution from apes to monkeys to everyone, because there is still links missing from one species to another. So yeah, that's how I can intellectually look at it.
Okay. Prabhu?
So I feel like not quite sure how to answer your question, but my theory is like, let's say like human evolved over the period of time, and they developed this gross and still developing subtle intellect. I'm not sure, maybe, but um, like even Swamiji at one point of time mentions that like even animals are more disciplined in their own way, like following a certain system that um, us human being doesn't follow. Like carnivores, they have the same system of eating meat and stuff, and herbivores like eating vegetables, and they stay within their own discipline system, right? To some extent, like if humans don't use their intellect, they are like animals. So, uh, so I mean, like they are the same, but only the thing is like over the period of time evolved.
Okay. Arjun, there are two sets of vasanas. One is called the Sanchita Vasanas, which is the global set. From this Sanchita Vasanas, a subset comes out called the Prarabdha Vasanas. The Prarabdha Vasanas decide the embodiment. Right. So, this set of vasanas which required a animal embodiment makes an animal, brings in the animal birth. So once that is exhausted, if the next subset which requires immediate fructification has human vasanas in them, then the animal will be born as a human. Right? So just as how the Sanchita and Prarabdha works, just as now, it doesn't mean that you have only desires for Vedanta or spirituality. At this moment, in this environment, these desires are conducive for this fructification. But you still have a lot of desires that are apart from these desires also, isn't it? In this birth itself. So, at any point of time, there is one set of desires that are unmanifest, another set of desires that are manifest. Similarly, they say this birth itself is because of the desires needing, vasanas needing immediate fructification is born as this embodiment. Right? So therefore, the creatures, the animals don't have to evolve to human beings, because evolution or devolution is only possible in human embodiment, because there's a choice of action. See, the other creatures don't have a choice, so there's no question of evolution. So they just go through a beaten path, a built-in program of life, and then they die. So it is not an evolution, it is just a movement based on the pressure of the desires for fructification. That is how they come into the human embodiment. Now, I am giving the other side of it. If as a human being, you continue in the path of evolution, where you entertain your spiritual desires and keep moving in that path, then this will require another human embodiment. Therefore, you will continue the human path. But if you do not do that, you just live a life of indulgence and everything, where you don't apply your thinking at all, and it is very animalistic by nature, then you will be born as an animal and continue in that. And next, when that human vasanas will gain that pressure to come as a human embodiment, nobody knows. The moment it goes to the Sanjita part of it, right? So there are two sides to it. So one is to say the global set. Therefore, animals or other creatures don't have this choice of evolution, because there's no choice at all. They just live a particular pattern of life and move on. That's all. So in their vasanas, if the next set requires the human embodiment, they'll be born as humans. That's how it works. Any clarifications?
Swami.
So one is Sankita Vasana, other one, what you said?
Prarabdha vasanas. Yes, Mahesh.
So, Mr. Arjun, question was the evolution of animals into humans from a Darwin point of view. So, this is what I also asked. If it is
Correct.
you are
So
talking about reincarnation.
I'm not
You are
answering.
talking about
Correct. I'm not answering from the Darwin's point of view. I'm answering from the philosophical standpoint.
so yeah. Basically asking about after death, depending on one's vasanas, he might be reborn into any of the life forms. If he has a higher vasanas, he might be even reborn as a human. If he has lower vasanas, he is not used properly, then I might get into anything depending on my vasanas. Okay, yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Any other clarifications? If not, question 2. Kindly explain the state of neutralization. Arjun is the question.
So let me go take a stab now. So when you're addicted to something and you love, I mean, like when you start loving something and over a period of time you get addicted to it so much that at one point of time um, it takes you to the state of neutralization where you don't want to get involved in that particular habit anymore. I believe that's the neutralization.
Other answers?
Yeah,
Swami.
so nice, good.
Thank you. When we enjoy pleasure through our five senses, when we are constantly enjoy it without any gap, then the pleasure becomes neutralized. We no more get joy in doing or by doing it. Example, food or anything for that matter. So, in order to get pleasure out of it, there should always be the gap, the time gap, so that we can sense it, we can enjoy it. Um, so without that, we achieve a state of neutralization where the contact point of pleasure doesn't give us any joy. The contact point of senses doesn't give any joy to us. I hope that is what the state of neutralization is about. Thank you.
Dimesh, you have to unmute yourself. You're muted.
I tried, but maybe it didn't get pressed. Sorry. Neutralization is a stage. So, Arjun, what are the best things? Suppose you like ice creams or mango season is just about to start. Swami's favorite example, which is just season will begin now. So when you have the first ice cream, the taste which you get is probably much more than 100 times or 100% and more, because you are relishing every single piece of the ice cream which you're eating there. And because you're not fully satisfied, you're saying, okay, let me go for a second one. Somebody says, insist you, okay, let me go for a second one. You say, okay, let me try the second one, where I really enjoyed the first one, and you eat the second one. In the second one, also fairly till about half, quarter, you are really enjoying, but then your stomach or your body is saying that it's enough, but you manage to finish it because you're so happy, excited of the enjoyment which you got from the first one. And now comes another friend. You finish the second one, he's saying, let's have a third one now. Okay. And then what will your body say, or how will you react saying that, I think I'm done here. I don't think I can eat the third ice cream now. But just suppose you are to indulge and you reach you take the third one as well. When you start the third one, the question is that the taste of the third one, which you're doing from the first one, will be very, very different, because you're actually just pushing yourself in that ice cream inside. There is actually no taste. There is no enjoyment in the third or the fourth ice cream, whatever you define there. That state where you stop enjoying in that ice cream is the stage when you reach what I call a neutralization, because it neutralizes the enjoyment, the reason why you're having that fruit, food, ice cream, whatever you want to take. And that ice cream is just one example. Anything which you'll do, whether it's a drink, first drink, second drink, third drink, fourth drink, the stage when it just neutralizes, it doesn't give you enjoyment, is what, in my mind, the state of neutralization. That's it.
Sharin?
I have nothing more to add.
A state of neutralization is where when you contact the object, there is no pleasure, but when you abstain from the contact, there is displeasure. So you keep contacting the object. But when you contact it, there's no pleasure. But when you don't contact it, there is displeasure. Just as a person who's a chain smoker, he keeps smoking, right? And if his frequency of a smoke is, say, 1 hour, around 50th minute, the mind starts disturbing him. Cigarette. The thought comes that he has to contact the cigarette, right? The moment he takes a cigarette and smokes it, right? That agitation is not there anymore, but he doesn't derive any pleasure out of it. That's why most of the chain smokers don't smoke completely. You will see the cigarette butts there, right? So this is the state of neutralization. The contact does not give pleasure anymore, but the non-contact gives displeasure. Why is this happening? Because of indiscriminate contact. Indiscriminate contact in the sense you're not regulating it. So you're just contacting just because you like it more and more. So this indiscriminate contact doesn't allow you to bring back the capacity to enjoy, which is what Mahesh was saying. If we keep on contacting, or Dimesh was saying, just as if you're jogging in the morning, say 5 kilometers, which is your capacity. After that, when your friend comes and says, let's go for a jog, you'll say, no, I can't, because you have lost your capacity to run now, isn't it? But it recoups. The next day, you're able to run those 5 kilometers, isn't it? Similarly, even our capacity to enjoy sense objects, we have a capacity. Each person has a capacity. So once you exhaust the capacity, you have to wait for it to come back. Until that point of time, you will not derive any joy out of that particular sense object. But because the mind is craving for the object, what happens is you keep on contacting even before the capacity came back. So therefore, you reach a point where you reach a state of neutralization. Now, what is happening in our life is due to this indiscriminate contact, we have lost enjoyment in everything that we are meeting with. Even with our partner, constant contact. There's so much of contact that lose joy in that contact. And particularly today, because there is this digital transformation, you can easily reach them, you can easily message them, you can easily speak to them. Therefore, there's too much of contact. Therefore, what happens? The capacity to enjoy has come down. You don't enjoy that thing anymore. The moment you regulate it, it comes back. So it is a state of neutralization you have reached, means this non-contact gives displeasure, therefore you contact. That's called the state of neutralization. What Nimesh was saying was a point of neutralization. If you're keeping on giving somebody more and more beyond his capacity, like 1 mango or 2 mangoes or 3 mangoes, the person doesn't enjoy it anymore. He's hit a point of neutralization. But if he waits for a few days, he gets the capacity to enjoy. But there are people who have contacted that object or that person for such a long period of time that they hit a neutralization, state of neutralization. So it takes more of abstinence or regulation for them to get back the joy. That is why life becomes very uninteresting after some point of time. Why people say them, why their life is, because they've contacted everything, indulged in everything and lost the joy. That's why life is dragging. But if you have regulated contact right through your life, then what happens is you enjoy life thoroughly. Because you regulate it consciously, knowing that you don't want to hit that state of neutralization. Any questions?
Swami, I have one.
Yes, Manish.
Swami, is there any way intellectually we can use our mind to constantly contact the sense of that gives pleasure and its stay in pleasure?
No, that is the idea. So the point is you have to use the intellect to regulate your contact so that you can enjoy right through your life. That is the idea. Use the intellect to say, if I have more than this, I will lose the joy. I'm just eating it and then I'll get to the state of neutralization. So you put your controls. I'll have only this many sweets. Then what happens next day? You can again get it. So the regulation can happen only by intellectual supervision. Otherwise, because mind has no direction. It will want as much contact as possible. It is the intellect that
I
has
was
to
thinking
regulate.
out of
Yes,
Mahesh,
mind.
did you ask the question that if I think I'm just asking a question to him. He tried to ask a question, the second part of neutralization. You said the first you stop enjoying contact, enjoy in that activity. He's saying, probably, is that my question correct? What you asked, that if you don't contact, you stop generating displeasure. How do you reach to a pace? That's what you said. How do you reach to a stage where supposing you don't smoke, if anybody a smoker, and then you don't smoke, you stop having displeasure now. You reach a stage. How do you get to a stage? Is that what you said?
yeah, kind of like that we can say, yeah.
No,
Or I was just,
the point is you should understand this. The desire is still there, isn't it? So therefore, when you stop the contact, no doubt the mind will bring in a disturbance. That's where you have to tell the intellect should tell the mind, if you contact it now, you will hit neutralization again. So don't contact. Wait. So that's why you restrict the contact. It is a fact that the mind wants that object. It is what the intellect has to tell the mind, that if you contact now, you won't get pleasure. So what's the use of contacting? Yes, ma'am.
Swami, in the same line, I'd like to ask one more question.
Yeah.
Is it good to subdue our uh, what to say? Subdue our
Desire.
yeah, desires, rightly put. Thank you. Or I can regulate. I can intellectually regulate and enjoy the ultimate state is one may say that one shouldn't have any desire at all, zero desires. We should not expect anything, and there will be no desire. That is the ultimate state one would like to achieve. But in this process, I take a shortcut and say I start, like supplying my desires. Or I should, the best other way is to intellectually enjoy it and see the fruitfulness, no, then ultimately see there is no greater good in it.
So you do not get rid of a desire by non-contact. This is the mistake that people do. They think that by not contacting an object, I'll get rid of the desire. It's not possible. So therefore, first you have to regulate the contact. Then what happens? The desire comes under your control. See, if you subdue or suppress it, it will come with such a force that you can't but contact at some point of time. But at that moment, it is coming with so much force that you can't control it. So what Vedanta is saying is contact it with being conscious. Have the control while you are contacting the object. And when you gain the control, slowly you have to gain knowledge to grow over the desire. To grow over the desire, it is not that you should not contact. So this is a mistake that people make. They think by not contacting the object from today, I'll get rid of desire. It's not possible. Because the thought is still there. The thought has to be dissolved, isn't it? That's the desire. So that comes through knowledge. So in the meantime, you keep contacting so that the mind is not frustrated. Otherwise, the non-contact gives rise to frustration in the mind, which is detrimental to you, because when you're agitated, your intellect cannot think, isn't it? So regulate the contact and work for something higher where you dissolve the desire. Slowly lose interest in this. That's the two-pronged formula. Yeah. Any other questions?
So in other words, indiscriminate indulgence with an object is also not good. Not indulging with an object is also not good. But you have to regulate your indulgence with an object.
Indiscriminate contact means indulgence. Discriminate contact means enjoyment. So they are not saying you should not enjoy the object. They are saying don't indulge in it. Indulge in it means the mind gets involved in that contact. And when it indulges, it wants to contact again and again. When it contacts again and again, you reach a point of neutralization. So they don't have a problem with our enjoyments. They means the masters. They have a problem with the mind gets involved in it. So enjoyment is not the issue. The issue is your mind going by itself and indulges. Therefore, you contact beyond the capacity. Therefore, you get neutralized. So then comes
beyond the capacity of enjoyment. Is
correct.
What it
Beyond
is?
your capacity. You know that you're losing. You didn't get the same joy when you contacted the first time. Why are you understand? Now you've gone down. Why are you contacting more? See, see, a lot of times it happens, no? Who goes to a restaurant in India and comes out with some part of the stomach remaining empty? Oh, I had overeaten. Why did you overeat? Overeating means it's beyond your capacity, isn't it? You crossed your capacity. Just because it's available, you just go gobble it. So that extra thing that you had, it is not a joy, but the mind's desire. That's why you had it. So until you can enjoy it, you can keep the content. Then you
It's like somebody like eating in a buffet.
Correct. Just because I paid for it, let me eat as much as I can.
Yeah.
No pleasure, just stomach is full, but you're feeling so uncomfortable after that. That's what it means, correct.
If we were to think about the purpose of neutralization, so we can say it's mastery over the mind, control over the mind, or
it's not the purpose of neutralization. The purpose of understanding neutralization. Yeah, not the purpose of neutralization. Neutralization, you don't have to get neutralized.
Sorry, yeah. So the purpose of understanding neutralization is how it helps to control the mind. And also we are not getting dependent on things in the world. Would you say that would be the two main reasons?
Yeah. So in the state of neutralization explains to you the idea that how to keep the enjoyment going. You can keep the enjoyment going by regulated contact. So, and the regulation contact is only by in mind supervision, supervising, controlling the mind, right? And in that process, like Mahesh said, so though we are saying it's regulation, that helps you in a way get over the control over the desire at some point of time where you grow over it. Because every time you indulge, the desire increases in its intensity, but the joy is not there anymore because you've lost the capacity, right? But when you control it, you're enjoying, and at the same time you're gaining control over the desire. So both happens, and in this process you can also slowly grow out of the desire. Yeah. Any other clarifications?
For me,
Yes, yes, Manish.
so usually the hardest part is to regulate the desire, because that is where addiction. Say I start example, I start smoking, or whatever. Someone starts smoking for that matter. Then slowly I may start with one cigarette. Then over a period of time, it may start to two. It may even go to one packet per day. So the main point over here is to regulate the desire, use intellect and regulate the desire.
Correct.
So the hardest point is regulating the desire.
True. So
Often there
therefore,
is a fine line between addiction and enjoyment. Like
correct.
it
So the
usually
whole,
starts as an enjoyment,
yeah,
but ends up in addiction.
the whole point is when you're enjoying, you should understand that should not allow it to get it become an addiction. So having addicted, you can't get the control takes a lot of time to get back, because then you need a lot of counseling, somebody, the higher intellects help to do it. But as you get into the desire, if you have a desire only, now only start, when you have the control, you start regulating by not allowing the desire to take over your experience. It's difficult, but that's the education part of it. You can have more sweets, but you don't want to have more sweets because of the fact that if you have more, you will lose the enjoyment and may become a diabetic where you can't even contact the sweet. You understand? So this is the knowledge which enables the intellect to control the mind. But what happens is people are so egoistic there also. I can go and enjoy. I can stop the desire at any point. This is their idea. That's why they get into addiction. You ask anybody who's a smoker or a drinker, he'll say, at any point of time, if I want, I can stop the habit. Tell them now you stop it, they'll not be able to stop it. So the mind fools them to think that their intellect has the capacity to control. So you play safe. I don't want to get into the mode only. Let me just try and control it as I'm going.
So I mean, usually what happens is they jump from one habit to another habit.
Correct.
Example, I quit smoking. I start taking pan masala. I quit pan masala. I start taking drinks. I quit drinks. I start again come back to smoking.
So what is happening is, if you do not have anything higher in life, you will move horizontally in life. You will stop one habit and pick up another habit here only. But if your idea is to move vertical in life, I need to be healthy enough, then what happens is you will not substitute it with another habit. See, nobody has a higher thing in life. No, that's the whole problem. So therefore, what they're doing, they're stopping this habit and picking up another bad habit. That's all. So, but if you have a higher focus in life, which is even at the physical level, I mean, physical health, then you will drop that habit and pick up a healthy habit, like playing a sport or something like that, instead of getting into this sort of addictions. You understand? So they don't have the higher goal in life, even at the physical level. Therefore, they pick up something horizontally. So the idea in life is to move vertically, higher and higher. That's called evolution.
So basically, in this example, what you're saying is like I set an objective and goal of like um, exercising and eating healthy. By setting that objective, like automatically you wouldn't like even think about like going for a smoke or drink
Correct.
because you're constantly like trying to like set yourself high bar of like eating healthy and staying healthy.
Correct. So even in this process, we are saying you should be practical enough to say if you were probably smoking 5 times a day, you regulate it by making it 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how you can regulate it, even if you have a higher goal. So you can't cut the contact immediately because the mind will rebel. If a person is having a 5 pegs, then he has to reduce it to 4, 3, 1. Then only stop it. So two things are happening. You're regulating a contact. You're also entertaining that higher thought and working towards it. Both contribute in handling the desire. So because otherwise people think from today I should be healthy, so I will stop this completely. It doesn't work because the mind is so already used to that contact. So you have to slowly reduce the contact and then you grow over it. So both have to be undertaken. Any other questions?
Swami, from
Yes.
my personal experience, what I can say is whenever we are free, free mind is a devil's workshop. All these bad habits, whatever we have, then only when we are like not occupied with our work or any other thing, these all prop up and take over.
That is why you need a higher purpose in life, no? And if it is higher purpose means a larger goal, which will take a lot of time to accomplish. So there is no free time also. So the mind is constantly occupied in that. So both you're doing. You're keeping the mind occupied and working for something higher. Otherwise, the mind is now occupied in this habit, it's going gets occupied in the other habit. That's the problem. So when you're saying working for the higher, then automatically the goal being larger requires more effort. So more effort means more participation of the mind also, isn't it? So where's the question of trying to be idle? There's no chance of being idle in that process. Any other questions? If not, question 3. Middle path, chapter of Holocaust. Guruji says there are two types of people. One set of persons is flooded with feelings and emotions with no control over them. And the other set of people lives a life devoid of emotion. There are many occasions where I fit in both the categories. How can I maintain the neutral path? Prabhu is the question.
Swami,
Yeah.
it is all about assessing one's personality is in, and intellectually applying ourselves to it. One might be an emotional person, one might be a rational person. So we have got to, as humans are individual species, rather than having a collective consciousness like animals. We have got to treat every individual, every human individually, and learn about his traits and come to an conclusion and react accordingly. Maintain a neutral path. That is how I think maintain a neutral path. Because once we know a person is emotional or rational or what kind of person is a psycho or what, so then we have got individual assess each human and then we have got to apply our intellect to respond to it. Thank you, sir.
Other answers?
I'll give it a go. If you, okay, so there in life or even throughout a morning, there can be lots of times where you are emotional. And when you are emotional, like Mahesh said, you would use your intellect and you are able to, obviously, you will notice those feelings, you will observe those feelings coming, and you're going to talk to yourself. I'm thinking of the other where you don't feel emotions. Probably think about that person. Think about, although you may not feel these emotions at the moment, like say, for example, your child's pet fish has passed away or something, Now you can see they are in tears, but you are not crying because you understand that a fish only has a certain lifespan and we did everything we could. But just for that 2 minutes, try and think about the other person's perspective, as in, like, for that person, this means a lot. Therefore, I must be a little bit more compassionate. So it's like, I think it's the way I look at it, it's like a dial, Prabhu, and you got to keep changing and adjusting the dial in every situation. That's for me. Thanks.
Other answers? Arjun, Nimesh, anything?
No, Swamiji.
Okay. So,
I,
yes, Nimesh.
I
Nothing.
don't have, I'm just saying that I don't have a good answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Please go.
You are feeling emotional at times and indifferent at times. That's what you're saying, right? And they are talking about being neutral means neither emotional nor indifferent. Neutral doesn't mean no emotion, isn't it? The middle path. That's the middle path. So understand one thing. When you feel emotional, it's not that being emotional is a problem. Allowing that emotion to overtake is the problem, which is what he's saying. Those people are flooded with feelings and emotions and can't control them, right? So the first step is to say, in those areas where my emotions are flooding me, I need to first exert control. How do you exert control? First step is try to control the expression. Control it from expressing further. You're very angry at your partner. Don't express. You will not get food. You understand? Understand the consequence of all that expression, right? So first thing you do is to control the expression aspect of it. Then you go backwards and try to control the emotion itself by understanding why that emotion has come. What is the purpose of it? Anger means some desire is obstructed. What is the desire that is obstructed? Go back and analyze. So, two steps. First is to stop its expression because it is flooding. So, you will not be able to even express it properly. So, therefore, don't allow its expression, unintelligent expression. Then come back to handle the emotion later. Then at that point, you can't do anything because you can only do it when your mind is at rest, when the intellect can think clearly. Then work out, why did I have this emotion? The area of indifference, like what Sharon was saying, a lot of times we don't react because you don't empathize with the other person. You have not identified with the other person, right? And since intellect is a subtler equipment, once you understand, you can generate the feeling of the mind. So that is where this identification comes and helps us. Identification with the other person. Just as when you have the awareness that somebody has done a lot of things for you, instantly the mind feels the emotion of gratitude, isn't it? So similarly, when you identify that the other person is going through some suffering, instantly the moment you become aware of it, the intellect will guide you in what sort of emotion you have to express. So the indifference is only lack of thinking. So that's where the thinking comes and helps. And you know what is the problem? Our whole problem in our life is either we are applying mind or we are applying the intellect. There is never a confluence of the two. A lot of people, when they go to work, they don't apply their emotion at all. That's why they're cutthroat in their competition when they go to work and everything. And when they come home, only emotion, no thinking. So they have never worked on having it both hand in hand, going together. So this is the first time we have been told that emotions are not the problem, but you need to use your intellect to be able to guide it. And intellect running by itself leads to arrogance. Emotion running by itself leads to all these overwhelming feelings. It's the confluence, both going together, that will help. then you will know where to express, you will know where not to express. And sometimes you know the child is throwing up a tantrum. There you can't identify. You need to be quiet at that point of time. Understand? Because you know, just throwing up a tantrum. So if I also show an emotion now, the child will take advantage of it. There you're keeping quiet. So that is not what is meant by devoid of emotion in this context. The other people don't have that emotion. Now you are consciously keeping quiet because you know by expressing that the child will take advantage of it. But at other times, you know that it requires that sort of a feeling from your end. Therefore, you express your feeling. So this is the whole idea. So this confluence has to be there of the mind and intellect. The mind should feel what the intellect thinks. The intellect should think what the mind feels. Then this will not happen. Any questions?
So another way is like before bursting into anger, you just think and control your expression and think for a bit.
Correct. So first is think means use your intellect to cut the expression. Because if the anger is there, it's very difficult to bring reason at that point of time. The only reason you can bring is cut the expression. Let me not open my mouth because I don't know what's going to come. Later you can analyze. When you're not angry, at that point you analyze. Why was I angry? I was angry because of this not being, this desire of mine being obstructed. Is it legitimate or not legitimate? Is it correct or not correct? Then you analyze, then you will be able to handle the anger. At that
Okay.
moment of time, you can't analyze because the mind is agitated. Only way you can stop at that point is only the expression part. Any other questions?
May I ask,
Yes.
is it possible for the mind and the intellect to go hand in hand?
That is the spiritual path. Making the mind and intellect go hand in hand. No, because our thinking is the moment the intellect comes, the emotion is dried up. That's what we are thinking. And the moment the emotion is there, and then the intellect doesn't have a role to play. This is how we are thinking. Now we have to change that thinking itself. To say that I need to have feelings, otherwise I'm like a stone or a plant. But if I allow the feeling to overtake my personality, then I'm like an animal which has no control, right? So having a feeling and guiding it is a real stature of a human being. So therefore, you should have both the feeling and the thinking. And if you just have thinking and no feeling, it's like a robot. A robot, no, it doesn't have any feeling. So that is also not correct because without the feeling, how will you identify with the other person? So therefore, both have to go hand in hand. This is the first understanding we need to get. Then you need to implement it in life. Yeah.
Sorry, I have one question which was
Yes.
linked to question 2. Is that okay?
Yeah, just a second.
Um,
Mahesh had some clarification with reference to this
yeah.
question. Yes, Mahesh.
So, Swami, basically Buddha's path is always called middle path. This applies to every aspect of life, let it be anger, love, or anything. So I can see here also emotion and intellect both having striking a middle path. So
Correct.
this can be like okay.
Correct. Some
So this can
people,
be extended. Just
intellectual
now,
level
please.
also. Some people read too much, other people read too little. That is also wrong. You should do the right type of reading. So some people give accent to intelligence, information, rather than development of intellect. So that is also extremes. So everything you can practice middle path in everything. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Any other questions? If not, Sharon.
Thank you. So, very similar to Mahesh, I have grown up with the conditioning, with the environment to believe that an empty mind is a devil's workshop. And to the point where I think a couple of years ago, like I would schedule things and make myself really busy right up to the end. And I think, yes, that's good because it stopped the mind and you've got to focus every hour. But then also it felt wrong. It felt like I was masking it, like, oh, Sunday evening, I've got a couple of hours off. The kids are happy at home, but actually, maybe, what's the point of being at home? Let's go out, let's do something, let's play a game together. So I wanted to know, like, how do we have a balanced life? Like, and then, what you just said as well was true. When you're studying the scriptures, you can go too much into it sometimes. And then, so how does one have a proper balance?
Mind's participation is not equal to quantum of activity. We are thinking it's a quantum of activity. I have to do so many things. That's not what is meant. It's called conscious living, that's all, not conscious activity. So, like, I'm saying that even spending time with children, enjoyment is also an activity. But we have now tend to believe that activity means something that is productive in terms of our work and other things. It is also productive because it's to do with the family, isn't it? So that notion has to change. So when they say the idle mind is a devil's workshop, they are only trying to say that the mind, if you just leave it by itself, then what happens? It just keeps on running into things and it will only get into indulgence. That's the nature of the mind. But that doesn't mean that you have to take a lot of activity. That's all. They are only saying supervise the mind and keep it occupied. It could be occupation of spending time with your family. It could be occupation of a career. It could be the occupation of a sport, which is also an enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with that. In other words, idle mind equals unsupervised mind. Understand it like that. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Question 4. The ultimate goal. There are 3 spiritual practices directed to 3 equipments that is human possesses: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Could you explain these 3 spiritual practices from your point of view with examples? Prabhu is the question.
My intellect says I leave it to the master of discipline.
Other answers?
I would rather
Yeah.
start from Jnana Yoga.
Okay.
Uh, 3 spiritual practices with examples. First thing, Jnana Yoga, whenever we get up early in the morning, we need to study the scriptures. That is the one spiritual practice for Jnana Yoga. And next, uh, uh, Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is more to devotion because with knowledge there comes a point of arrogance also. So knowledge with humility will definitely it is like knowledge with humility will subdue our mind, and that aligns with Bhakti Yoga. And after that, and the second practice, what I intend to tell is the Bhakti Yoga is much of a devotion to to all other creatures, like be it animal, be it our own people, the surrounding, the nature. And the third aspect is Karma Yoga. Whatever field of activity you are into it, you have to uh, practice first from being unselfish, and then ultimately reaching the selfless state. These are the 3 from my point of view.
Okay. Other answers?
Swami?
Yes, Mahesh.
What I can see is they are not like distinct from each other, like one follows one path and void of the other. What I can say is one leads to the other, and holistically, all these combine to give us the ultimate state rather than seeing them distinctly. What I can see is one leads to the other. Maybe like as you said, for Karma Yoga, we dedicate ourselves to the higher self. We work all our actions. We do it selflessly towards a greater good. that ultimately also has some bhakti aspect of it, because without that you cannot dedicate your actions to a higher self. So obviously you need to have a bhakti in you to dedicate your actions to your higher self, and without jnanam that is not possible again to dedicate your actions to a higher self, because then it will be like you saying me and I'm doing it without that jnanam in me, without having. So I think it's rather than seeing these three as different and distinct paths, what I would say is all three are required for one's evolution to the higher self, and all go hand in hand. Thank you, sir.
Other answers?
I think what Mahesh and Arjun said were really good. To add on, I think one possibly might draw us into it a little bit more than the others to start off with. It depends on, our composition and how our body and mind and intellect work. But yeah, definitely the three need to go hand in hand. For me, karma yoga, I feel it assists to break that I, the little I which constantly lives in. And bhakti, it's that love and devotion for the Lord. And jnana yoga, I feel for me at this moment, this point in time, like although I was born into a family where we did, a lot of prayers and everything when we were young, but obviously I probably needed the jnana yoga to actually understand the purpose, and that's helped to consolidate things. So yes, they're not independent of each other. At one point in time, they all work with each other, but one tends to draw you into it. Like with Jnana Yoga as well, like because the scriptures are from, a great lineage of masters, then that's the number one stepping stone. You understand, you have that confidence, you have that shraddha that yes, what is given to me is absolutely right. Where do I stand with this? Thank you.
Nimesh?
Yeah. So when I read this, I don't know which book or thanks to Vedanta, whether I'm right. I think first we need to identify what our each constitution is there. Each human is having a different constitution, and it's a combination of, I don't know, I'm going right path, Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. So once we and to exhaust, so each one could be 70% Rajas, 30%, 20% Sattva, and 10% Tamas. Everybody will be lazy, everybody will be active, everybody will be what do you call, devoted. And once we know our own constitution, you will automatically get drawn into uh, activities which will. So everybody is a combination of all three, whether it's karma, bhakti, jnana. If you want to go the spiritual path and achieve in terms of the goal of going higher and higher in life, the more we know ourselves better, you will automatically spend more time and activity around karmic. So, and say for myself that it's a lot more rajasic in nature, which is so to exhaust that uh, vasana, the nature, karma is something or activity is comes very natural that I need to spend more time. Devotional, some people will get really connected where they can just go into a different space where they really get engrossed in that bhajans, or that's why bhajans are also done at the ashram where people or students get there. And I think Gnana, I think one of the colleagues spoke about Arjuna, you have to, knowledge will continue need to be taken so that each of the areas in life. So Nana will help you to intellectually do action, karmic action out there, and the right action there. And so we all are a combination of all three pieces. Knowing our constitution help us to take up each of those yoga more actively in daily life. Understand.
Karma yoga, simply put, Prabhu, is after you. That consideration for another person. What's the example? When you're going to open the door, somebody else is walking, open the door for that person. It's called karma yoga. You don't have to think big things. Oh, karma yoga means from today I have to serve the entire community. Yes. When you're driving on the road, one follows coming speeding, give him way. Karma yoga. Just take it simple things. Start with those simple things. Nothing is going to happen. You're not going to lose any time. Let him go. Right? So all these things are karma yoga only. Being considerate to another person. So this, when you practice this unselfishness at the physical level, it's called karma yoga. Similarly, when you go to work, think of how I can benefit the company rather than how I can benefit myself. So all this, that's the examples you asked. That's the example. You're driving and even at home, how can I be of service to my partner and my children? Karma yoga. You're not doing it because they are your partner and your child. You're doing it because without that selfishness. So this is called karma yoga. Bhakti yoga practices are those practices that elevate your emotions. It could be anything. Some people listen to chants, some people listen to bhajans, some people listen to classical music. Whatever elevates your emotion is called bhakti yoga. Whatever it is. Some people listen to these Puranic stories that elevates their mind because the life of even the epics, Mahabharata or Ramayana, is meant to elevate our feelings. So it's they always, whenever you listen to the life of Rama or Krishna, it elevates your feelings. My God, what a life they lived. Elevates your feeling. All these are part of Bhakti Yoga. So Jnana Yogam you're doing already. You are doing the e-learning course. We are having this Q&A. You are attending classes. This is all Jnana Yoga only. Jnana Yoga, simply put, you are interested in the permanent aspect of it and not the impermanent aspect of life. So the definition of Jnana Yoga is Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. The discrimination between what is ephemeral and what is eternal in life. So if you practice this even in the world, that is also Jnana Yoga. You could take up a job based on the commercials, the monetary benefits. You could take a job because you are more satisfied doing it. Jnana Yoga. You could find a partner who has a lot of wealth, or you could find a partner who has the capacity to earn. More permanent. Capacity to earn is more permanent than the wealth that they possess, right? So in every aspect of life, you can do this, permanent, impermanent, permanent, impermanent. This leads to final Jnana Yoga, which is the highest. You will choose the self, which is permanent, and leave your ego, which is impermanent. This is Jnana Yoga practice.
What is that you said? Nitya, Anitya,
Viveka Vicharam. It comes in Bhajagovindam.
Viveka Vichar.
Bhajagovindam, verse 30.
Okay.
Any questions? If not, we'll conclude. We'll meet in the next class.
Hari Om.
Hariom.
Hari
Bye.
Om.
Have a good weekend. Bye.